You're tuned in to Grown Folks Production. In mix. With the Commish, Nate.
That's right, Randy. We are back, and we are doing this thing here on Press Pass Live. Welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly OMFL podcast show, the world's oldest and longest online Madden CFM. Started in 2001, still going strong today. I'm your host, the Commish, Nate, running solo here for the next couple of weeks. I think we'll begin having some friends join us here pretty soon. But until then, it's just going to be me, and tonight's going to be a pretty short show because, well, I've been gone all week, so I got to play a little bit of catch up. We did tweak the sliders before we get rolling here, so remind me in the chat to talk about that once we get towards the end of the show. Minor tweaks, but still trying to get some pass rush in there, something I'm keeping an eye on. Week number 13, as we get into the fastest 2 minutes. That's probably not going to be true. It's going to be longer than 2 minutes per week, but we're going to see if we can get through it. Green Bay and Priest beat Tim and Detroit 49-45. Mr. Hooper Dynasty. Why? I just can't. I got to get Luca's new name memorized. I don't have it. He beats Dwayne 38-33. That's impressive. Dibru with a 34-31 victory over Mr. Nipples. C. Murder Colin with a 35-24 win over Twinkie. The Carolina Panthers and Birdman fall to D-Money and the Rams 34-27. Little Koch with a 37-25 victory over Mr. Crazy B-Man. Lost his name there for a second. Kobe, the 29-20 victory over Cincyberg, falling to his old team, the Indianapolis Colts. I think this was a CPU game. If I know my timeline right, Randy was already in the hospital by then, having the baby with his wife. 28-24 by Mr. Roger. Kevin with a 38-28 victory over Maniac, an impressive victory there. Massimo absolutely murdered my Saints 33-10. That was right before I was leaving for my trip. Absolutely brutal day of gaming that day. Nicesanger with a 13-3 victory over Byron. Meek with a 20-13 victory over Big Hurt. Logan with a 38-35 victory over Joker. I think we covered a little bit of this game. I think that was played right as we were doing Press Pass Live. Could be wrong on that though. Trey with a 38-28 victory over Jay Bowles. Penguins with a 42-34 victory over Bronco Jay Glaze. I want to say Bronco Man, but that's Randy. Jay Glaze. And then finally, Bill with a 24-16 victory over Lost Sniper. You got to come up and talk about these two guys between Priest and Tim. There's no love lost there. There's a real OMFL rivalry, a healthy rivalry handling. Words are escaping me. A real OMFL rivalry that's happening right there between these two guys. You can see the offensive rushing yards, just a slight edge there to Priest. The passing yards, though, going to Tim, 443-321. 32 first downs to 23 first downs. Neither one of these guys wanted to play defense with a combined, what was the quick math, 28-34? I don't know if I did that math right, but I think 35. Yeah, been 35 points scored in the fourth quarter. Craziness between these two guys. Only one turnover each. 5 offensive red zone touchdowns for the Detroit Lions, and he won time of possession 25-37 to 18-23. So it must have been the big play there for Priest and the Green Bay Packers. 6-1 for Fargus for 451 and 76% completion percentage. Jordan Love did his best to hang pace. 5-1 for 321, a 59% completion percentage. Sorry. Jacobs, 12 for 72. Gibbs, 10 for 51. You can see no one really sticking with the run game, even though both of those guys averaging well over 5 yards per carry. And then Allen averaging over 7.8 yards per carry in this game. They just didn't stick with the run game. And the All-Pro it's just easier to pass the ball. Williams, 11 for 172. St. Brown, 10 for 153. 3 touchdowns there for Williams, and St. Brown keeping pace with him. That's an outstanding explosion there for the Detroit Lions. Decker gave up a sack on the day. And then looking at your tackles, 13 from McKinney. Tackles for loss leader was going to be Phillips and Campbell, each with 2. Only 1 sack from Gary, and then the 2 interceptions, 1 from Walker, 1 from Joseph. A great instant classic game there between these two. I know they're not having the season they wish they were, but that is a really good game between 2 owners that, at least from my experience, they don't get at it. They don't get disrespectful. There's some fun banter and smack talk. That's what a healthy rivalry should look like here in the OMFL. Looking at week number 14, Tim Falls. What?
I wanted to ask, how much is that monitor?
Paulson. It was like 2,000.
2,000?
My son asking funny questions. Dallas with see, I'm all off my game now. Tim falls to Dwayne 48-42. So Tim putting up a lot of offensive points here in some really, really good games. Oh, that's right. We didn't even we just covered week 13 and 14. Wow. We're not getting as many games in. No wonder Bill is complaining and yapping at me. My Saints just beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in an instant classic 38-31. Me and Kevin had a really fun game. He scored with like 35 seconds left or a minute left. It was like minute 15 if I recall right. Minute 15, he takes a lead. Saints hit a couple of big plays, getting close. I went for the gusto, could have kicked the field goal to win. I said, nay, we're going for the touchdown. Alave up the seam for the touchdown to win that game 38-31. Little Koch falls to Byron 26-15. Penguins with a 27-24 victory over Big Hurt. Big Hurt having a couple tough games here right at the end of the season of season 116. It looks like it might push him towards not being able to make it. I don't know his record right off the top of my head, but I know that he was making a run there. Massimo with a good win over Kobe 31-27. Priest flexing on Colin 44-17. That probably messed up a lot of gold sheets and a lot of pick'ems. Good win there for Priest. 44-25. Cincyberg beats Meat Boy. An impressive victory there for Cincyberg. And then Nicehanger beats what I'm pretty sure was the CPU Colts 33-28. Nipples with a 31-23 victory over Logan. Jay Bowles beats his buddy Jay Glaze 41-3. Impressive victory there. D Money with a 33-20 victory over Maniac. Maniac felt like that was going to be the end of his playoff push here. And then the game that made me go, we got to do something to make this game a little bit harder. Den Brew with a 69-45 victory over Joker. Every single game this season for Joker seemed to be one there. He scores 40, 42, 45, 48, but gives up 48, 55, 69 in this one. Just a crazy good offense, but a crazy bad defensive game plan there for Joker. Roger falls to Luca 28-27. Shocks. Thank you, Nicehanger. I know his name. Luca is burned in my brain. Shocks wins 28-27 over Roger. And then finally Twinkie, the 27-6 victory over Trey. This one with a 3-time DC, came with a lot of controversy, a lot of yuckiness, and led to the big messages that you've seen a little earlier today. I'm going to go ahead and talk about my game. I never get to talk about my game. I know Kevin and I not going to make the playoffs. We're pushing for a high draft pick. Probably both of us are going to fall into the top 5, but this was just a good, fun game. Feels like the first game I've had so far this season where both teams were going back and forth. Both teams were adjusting. Both teams counter-punching. It's just a fun, classic game between two of us. I still argue, as I did on my stream, that All-Pro is just dumbed down. It's too dumbed down. It's just boring, and I wish we could play all Madden, but I'm adjusting the sliders to make this tougher. It feels like we made the run game a little bit easier, not terribly easy, but a little bit easier, so that should help get the run game a bit more, calm down some of these passing stats, and I'm trying to find some pass rush. I'm doing my best. So I made some small tweaks. Hopefully that will get us over the hump, or at least get us a little closer to the hump, and get us to be able to have a really dynamic defensive game plan. What up, Alec? I am not watching Sunday Night Football. I usually don't. By then, I'm usually doing Press Pass Live. Who's playing tonight? I asked that during my stream. Nobody knew the answer. 104 rushing yards to 91 rushing yards, 299 passing to 355. 24 first downs for my Saints, only 16 for the Bucs. So the Saints played pretty good there. No turnovers from either one of those teams. But I will say, I forced him into some bad ones, and I should have had many, at least 3 turnovers. But the game said, nay. Those are going to go Kevin's way. He's at home, 24-15 to 19-45. St. Louis, a really great game. 305, 4 touchdowns, only sacked once, 52% completion percentage. Shuck, even with drops, though, was over 60% completion percentage. He had 2 touchdowns and 349 yards passing. Even Rattler got in there for one play as Shuck needed a breather. He was 1 for 1 with 13 yards passing. Rushing the ball, Irving, 16 for 76. Miller, 15 for 65. So you see, it's not that great, but neither team really stuck with running the ball. We both sort of spread it the love and didn't really give one guy a ton of carries, which I think is fairly realistic. Palmer, 7 for 195. A lot of those came on broken tackle, big plays. He had 2 that just murdered the Saints defense. And then Vele getting back in the starting lineup just delivers. You know what? I don't love the player. I don't love his age. Love his size. Don't love his speed. The guy just makes plays. And so we got to start getting him back in the lineup. Olave, 6 for 77, but he did have a couple of drops, as did Shaheed. But they also had some big catches late in that game. And then looking at your defensive leaders, Sanchez, 8 tackles on the day. Most of those are going to be assists. He also led the team in tackles for loss. And then only the 2 stacks on the day from Darby. I think it's Darby. No, it's not Darby's. I don't know. Yeah. We'll just say it that way. And then Stutzman had his. No interceptions on the day. An instant classic between these 2 guys. You know what? What up, Chris? Long time no see, bud. I forgot to do something. So let me do this right now. This is going to get weird for just a second. But stay with me, okay? I forgot to load the OMFL news. I downloaded it, had it ready, and forgot to load it. So I'm going to load it really fast.
Welcome back to the OMFL News. I am Den Brew. This is your OMFL News. We just advanced to week 12. Welcome back to the OMFL News. I am Den Brew, and this is your OMFL News. We are about to advance to week 15 very shortly. Kev and Nate are playing right now. They'll get that advanced as soon as we're done here. And last week on the OMFL News, we took a quick look at the division races, and not much has changed since then, with one exception, and that's the AFC South. It is crazy tight right now. The owner of the Colts, our guy Randy, has had to step away the last 2 games due to his daughter being born. And congratulations once again, Randy. We're all hoping you get to bring your beautiful daughter home very soon. And with Randy being out, this has caused him to lose 2 straight. It's really tightened up the division race. The Colts are still sitting there on top despite those 2 losses at 8-5. But the rest of the division, the Jags, the Titans, and Texans are all sitting there at 7-6 and ready to move up to that top spot. I took a quick peek at the schedule coming up. And in week 17 and 18, we've got some matchups that are going to be huge. Week 17, Jags and Colts play. And then in week 18, Titans and Jags and Colts and Texans. So we got a lot of AFC South divisional matchups those last 2 weeks. So this division's probably not going to get decided until that final week of the season. I look back, and the Colts have already split with the Titans on the year, and they just lost back-to-back to the Texans and Jags. So this is going to be a fun one to watch. I can't wait to see how it plays out. My prediction, not that anybody cares, is that Randy gets back very soon and somehow finds a way to pull out a couple of wins in week 17 and 18 to hold on to the division and take that momentum into the playoffs. What say you? That is it for this week. Back to Nate and Press Pass Live.
I appreciate my buddy doing that. Thank you so much, Jim Brew. And somebody was either taking a very long piss or he's got a fish tank, and him and Kevin probably could share fish tank stories. I love fish tanks. I got one. It's like way back there. You can't see it right now. At least on this scene, you can't see it. I grew up in the pet industry, so I love me some animals. Let's talk a look. Let's talk a look. You want to talk a look? I like to talk a look. Do you like to talk a look? Let's talk a look. Let's take a look while we're at it as well. Right now, I went and just took a quick peek. The last update we had from Bill was like 2 days ago or a day ago, something. And I was like, I think it was a day ago, but it was before a couple of games got played here, and we've moved into the new week. So I don't have like a super updated list from Bill. What up, Jerix? Is it Jatrix? I don't know. Anyway, what up? Thank you for hanging out with us. All right, so let's take a look at the AFC from how I see it right here. Bengals are your number one seed. It looks like they've got that thing almost completely sewed up. We've got, 2 games left to go here, so he needs one more win. The Steelers dropped a couple there, but Logan right up there at 10-3. Kobe and his Jets at 9-4. The Chargers are at 8-5. Ravens 8-5. Colts 8-5. You just heard Denbrew talking about the Colts, though. Hopefully he'll be able to get home soon and get back in there and make his run. He was playing superb football and probably was going to finish in the top 3 seeds there in the AFC. Massimo and his Dolphins are still there. Nysanger still in there. Byron, he had a big win this past week. Excuse me, at 7-6. Roger's still there at 7-6. And I think that's where that kind of line for me starts to get drawn, is like Jaguars up. I don't know if I believe in the Titans down. Let's look through a couple of these races that we got going here. I called this one earlier, but Bengals, Steelers, Ravens having a great season. The Ravens have dropped a couple more than I expected. I expected it just to also be a 10-win team, but he still has a chance there to win a couple more here at the end and make a run. Let's see what happens with the Steelers. Bengals have this division on lock, but Ravens and Steelers still very much in the hunt, trying to make a run, and it wouldn't surprise me if both of those teams made the playoffs. Looking at the AFC South, you heard Mr. Denbrew talking about this. All of these teams are still in the hunt. I just personally don't know if I believe in the Titans and Texans. They've been a little too hot and cold. Nysanger coming on late here in the season, and with Randy's situation, that's causing this to be a closer race than I think it would normally be. He's on the 2-game losing streak. If he's not able to play again this week, hopefully he can. Hopefully he can get home with his wife and his baby, and he can play this week. This cough is driving me nuts, y'all. Hopefully that can happen for him, and we can see the Colts, be able to play this out. It's never great when something's sort of just taken from somebody. I love Nysanger making a run here, but for my draft picks, I need him to not make a run. No, I'm just joking. AFC East, you got the Jets at 9-4. Dolphins still hanging in there at 7-6. I think the Bills and Patriots are all but done. Chargers at 8-5. Raiders, Chiefs, Broncos. This one's all about the Chargers. So to me, really comes down to a couple races. Can Massimo and the Dolphins make a run? What happens here in the AFC South, it puts the Jaguars, Titans, and Texans all still very much in it. But I personally really like the AFC North, and I'm going to go ahead and give a nod to them. I think they're going to get the 2 wildcard spots. Somehow Randy's able to get home and get that last game or 2 games played, win his division. Nysanger's going to do me a favor, have a higher draft pick, help me out since I'm trying to do my rebuild. Nysanger, you can make a run next year. You know what I'm saying, brother? I played Kobe, so not looking good. Did that game already get played? I'll have to go look and see if that game already got played. There's no way. We just advanced a few minutes ago. So, oh, you mean you play? Dumb me. See, this is what happens when we go late at night here, or Nice Hunger. You play Kobe. I'm hoping Kobe is doing okay. I know he's had a lot going on, but I am pulling for you, Kobe. If you do watch this, looking at the NFC, looks like Mr. D Money's got everything rolling his way this season on a oh my goodness, y'all. I need a nap. On a 7-game winning streak. I should be pretty good at this. I get paid to talk for a living, but I got to get my thoughts together here. D-Money, 7-game winning streak, sitting at 11-2, but Bill's making him earn every ounce of it, sitting at 10-3. D-Wayne sitting at 10-3, even with some crazy losses you wouldn't normally expect him to have. And look what the Penguins, right? No, yes, Penguins and the Commanders. Do I have that right? I don't have that right. Do I? Yes, I do have that right. 5-game winning streak, making a late run here. Had that team as 4-4, 5-game winning streak to move to 9-4. Meek at 9-4, Cincyberg at 8-5, Colin at 7-6, Bird at 7-6, Twinkie at 7-6. For me, that line's sort of Falcons, Bears. I don't know if I believe in these other teams. Bears and Panthers, I don't believe in themselves this year. Twinkie, I just don't think has enough firepower to be able to make a run here this late. Let's look at all of these races. I apologize about this cough, y'all. Since coming home, it is back with a vengeance. It was doing great when I was in New York this past week. Colin, 7-6, so it does look like he's got this division just about wrapped up. Priest with some impressive victories here late in the season. I think it's not going to be too little, too late. Big Hurt has been the big, what happened? 3-game losing streak, a team that looked like they were on the up and up and on the rise. Priest is going to make it interesting, but this one's going to belong to Colin. Looking here at the NFC South, Bird trying to make it a game for Cincyberg and his Falcons at 8-5, Bird at 7-6. Big what if. Let's see if Bird can make a little bit of a run here, but Cincy has looked to be really strong offensively and looks to be playing really good football. NFC East is the most fun division to watch here. You got Twinkie at 7-6, still very much in it and having a really good season, probably one of the better seasons that he's had in quite some time. Penguins on that 5-game winning streak to have his team at 9-4. Dwayne and Bill both just kind of going back and forth. Both teams playing really good football. Dwayne maybe a slightly abnormal season, but still sitting as a 3-loss team. So how can you really say that? Just from Dwayne's standards, we're used to seeing him have 1 loss or no losses, but Bill having an outstanding season. And in my books, Bill is the player, the coach of the year this year. D-Money has the NFC West on lock, 11-2. But Meek is making it interesting at 9-4. He's going to make a run at the playoffs here. I want to see what happens between Seahawks, Cowboys, Commanders. Those are going to be the 3 teams to watch. I'm going to go ahead and give a nod to the Seahawks because he proves me right more often than he proves me wrong. Look for the Seahawks to get in there. Cowboys, Penguins is going to fall just short in this late season run. Let's look and see what Madden has right now. We'll look at the playoff picture, and you see the number 1 seed on both sides, the Rams and the Bengals. On the AFC, they've got Jets, Miami, Colts, Ravens, and then Chargers and Steelers. That Colts is just kind of in the air because of his real-life situation. On the NFC side, you got Giants and Meek in the Seahawks. You got Cincyberg and the Falcons against Penguins and the Commanders. That would just be a really fun game to watch there. 2 AFC powerhouses moving over to the NFC this season. And then Colin versus Dwayne. It's so weird not to see Dwayne up in that number 1 spot. He's down there at the number 5 spot, and he's going to have to work his way through this one if that is where he stays. Should be a really, really good season. We're going to go to another commercial real quick, and when we come back, we're going to open up the OMFL mailbag. Or no, when we come back, we're going to look at the draft. Then we're going to open up the OMFL mailbag. I'm going a long one here because I need to go grab a cough drop and see if that helps me out at all. Mr. Maniac, take it away.
Howdy there, y'all. Have you ever had trouble staying fresh in your Madden game? Has your FPR really stunk it up? Do you reek from sweaty gameplay? If you answered yes to any of these, we can help. We are proud to tell you about a great new product. We call it Dream Bean. Yes, that's right. Dream Bean works hard to get rid of stale Madden gameplay. Penetrates deep into the pores to reach those stubborn, hard-to-reach FPR issues. Turn that Madden reek into Madden chic with Dream Bean. State-of-the-art design that gets the job done. We use all natural ingredients to create the best-smelling, cleaning FPR product on the market today. So don't delay. Call now and get yourself Dream Bean clean. Operators are standing by. Call 188-FPR-CLEAN. Call now.
I love those so much. I appreciate all of those guys from being able to do those for me. I think we might even have a new one coming out here pretty soon. Let's look at the mock drafts up to this point. Let's see how many we got. We got 2. That's it. I think we get another one here pretty soon. Now, this was early in the season. We got Gleason Culberson going to the Packers. We got Grant Bryson, right tackle, going to the 49ers. A speed edge rusher, Matt Renard, going over to the Chiefs. Jimmy Aragon, a left edge rusher, going to the Bucks. And then Nate Cody, a left edge rusher, going to the Broncos. And then it's just a little updated. We'll see. We're going to go look at a couple of players here. Grant Bryson still going to the 49ers. They're now in that number 1 pick. Matt Renard still going. I think that was Matt Renard that was going to go to the Broncos. No, he was going to the Chiefs. So they have him going to the Broncos now. Jason Culberson, a left edge, going to my Saints. Jimmy Aragon going to the Packers. And Enrique Bowens, a defensive tackle, going to the Browns. Let's go look at a couple players, though, and give you my picks. Let's look and see who these teams are going to be. We're going to come over here to the standings. We're going to go this way. 49ers, Broncos. It looks like the 49ers are going to get that number 1 pick. Broncos, number 2 pick. Saints, number 3. Browns and Buccaneers fighting for 4, 5. Probably should have already had this written down, but I did not. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to write it down right now. So we got 49ers, Broncos, Saints, and then we're going to go Browns and Bucks. Bucks are going to win some more games. I think Browns could too. Both of those guys I really, really like. And I think both of those guys are going to do really well. So let's look at a couple of these players and give sort of my off-the-cuff ideas about who could go where. We're going to go prospects. We're going to go all positions. We're just going to go just like this. So the top 5 for them is going to be Bryson, Richardson, Renard, Aragon, Culbertson. Those are their top 5. Looking at these teams, 49ers 100% could go quarterback. They could also go a variety of other positions. Defense, running back, receiver, I think could be a big, big need for him. I think offensive line, he's going to be fine. I think defensive line, he's going to be fine. Linebacker, they're getting older, but he should be fine. DB, offense, just about anywhere. The big question for me is going to be what he does at quarterback. Let's go look at his quarterback situation really fast. No, that's not what we want. We want this. I don't know the 49ers great because I just haven't been able to look at his team right now. Yeah, he's got Brock Purdy still. So, again, I think automatically your mind goes to he's going quarterback, right? Brian Robinson, this isn't great. These stats are not awesome, but you can work with this. Looking at the receiver, Ayuk is fine. I think you could still use some playmaking ability over there. Pearsall is going to be good. I think he needs to start getting him the ball, feeding him a bit more. Offensive line is going to be fine. Then looking at the defense, and Fred Warner's great. He's starting to get older. Nick Bosa, fine. You could probably use another. Oh, no, he's a rookie. Yeah, so he's probably fine at defensive end. Definitely could use cornerback. So I'd say cornerback, receiver, quarterback. I think he's going to go quarterback at that number 1 pick, which sucks if you're me because you need a quarterback and you need a quarterback to fall. But I think the 49ers are probably going to go quarterback there. And then it just depends on how these quarterbacks perform whenever we get into the combine settings. You can see Richardson here. There's no way for me to hide any of this. You see Richardson's here. He's got a little bit later talent than the top 5. Wouldn't surprise me if he went Richardson, though. He's got the prototypical everything. 6'4", 228, big arm, out of Utah, smart, can kind of do just about everything. You got Akins here at 231, 6'2", a field general player. Pixon, 6 foot, a little smaller of a guy. Big, though, 233. Another field general quarterback. You got Coles, Mills, 6'4". These are more prototypical strong arm guys. I say that Richardson's just going to be too hard to pass up, and that's going to be the go-to for the San Francisco 49ers. Looking at the Broncos, let's go look at his team really fast. Keep going to the wrong things here. Well, look at the Broncos. He hasn't been around a lot this season because of work, and I think that kind of skewed. And we know how good this team is. He's got Bo Nix. I don't know if he loves Bo Nix. You can see the stats here. 19 and 13 isn't awesome. Everything else, though, is not too bad. So maybe he can get Bo Nix going. Dobbins, Nix, Harvey needs a running back there. I don't know if you're going to go running back this high. Mims, Sutton, Ingram. Maybe he goes receiver, offensive line. I don't know what these guys overall is, but these stats are not good. Greenlaw's great. He's got Benito getting the sacks and Scott Allen. He's got plenty of sacks out of those guys. He's got McMillan and Surtain. I think he's going to go receiver. He could possibly go offensive line. Just if you're at the number 2, do you want to go offensive line? You do have Bryson up here at right tackle. Looks like he's going to be a top 5 guy. You know what? Again, I didn't look at overalls. Look at his money. I'm going Bryson for the Broncos. I think that's the smartest pick. Saints, no questions asked. It's going to be quarterback. If Richardson is gone, what up, Kevo? Instant classic game with you, brother. I'm going to get that thing submitted later. It's really going to be how these quarterbacks perform in the combine. Depends on what the 49ers do. I would assume, though, it's going to be like one of these guys I've got highlighted here. Morales is another guy that I think I've liked. You can see Morales is a guy that needs a lot of work. Hoskins doesn't look like he's going to be it. My favorites have not been updated since some scouting these last few weeks. I'd say it'd probably be Coles and Mills, be like one of these guys, depending on who performs better. And if the 49ers go one of these guys, I'm probably going to take whatever's left if this is how it plays out. Looking at the Browns, we got to go look at his team because I believe he's got a lot of pieces, and I'm going to be really interested to see what Little Koch can do with the Browns in an offseason where we actually can trade and do those kinds of things, which we were a bit more limited on this past season because of the app, which still has not come out. Sanders 21 and 27, Smith 5 and 8. Maybe he goes quarterback. I doubt it. I think these guys are very workable, and he'll be able to make something happen here. Juckins, 578 and 5. You expect him to have a bit better of a season from him. Could possibly look at running back in this league. Judy's going to be great. Bond, great. These are guys, though, that are just going to keep getting better. He's got Kenyon Coleman now. Yeah, I think he's set at wide receiver. His offensive line has played really well, so I think he's probably going to be fine on offensive line. Could use a pass rusher. I mean, Garrett's getting old, and he's only got 5. He's got plenty of interceptions there from Ward. I'm going to go pass rusher. We've got a lot of good pass rushers left in this draft. We haven't even taken one. He's in the top 5, but we've got some really good pass rushers in this one. We've talked about Renard. We've talked about Aragon, Culbertson a little bit when they said he was going to go to me. I say it depends on one of these 3 guys. How did they perform in the combine? They're all top 5 guys. I think he takes the best one. We're going to use Renard just because that's a name that we've watched a couple of different times in these mock drafts. I think he's going to go to the Cleveland Browns. And then finally, my guy Kev. Kev, you're here. You can tell me what kind of positions you're leaning to. I'll give my unbiased position here. We're going to go look at these Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I think are set on offense. Probably wants a playmaker at the receiver position. I just don't know that there's going to be one high enough, even though we see that happen all the time. 28-12, St. Louis is going to be a stud as he continues to grow. Looking at the receiver or the running backs, Irvin getting it done, 776 and 7. Receiving, Palmer 59 for 13, Evans 53 for 907. But getting older, Ibuka? No, I'm not saying that right. How do you say it? Anyway, I know how to say it. It's just not registering right now. He'll be a good player. I kind of see him replacing Evans as that big body guy. He's not quite as big, but still a big receiver. Palmer's going to continue to grow in this offense. I could see him. He just said it in the chat. Wide receiver, most likely, our defense. So we can go look at that defensive line. Bonner, really, really good player there at the Mike position. It's going to be Clancy at the edge, who's got 5 sacks, and then Yaya's got 5.5, and then his interception leader, no cornerback. So, I could even make the case, especially this high, that you could go cornerback, Kevin, in this position. I know you've got some good ones, but they're not turning the ball over, and so I don't know that you will. Clearly, you're here telling me what you're thinking for your team, but I think it is a consideration if nobody on the defensive side of the ball goes and you do finish in that top 5, that could be another position that you could. Ibuka, that's it. Thank you, Cincy. I knew how to say it. I don't know why it stuck. Again, I don't know if there's any wide receivers that could go this high, but you can see Sherwood, a 6 foot, 195 cornerback out of Buffalo. He could be a guy that you look at. Killings, again, it depends on how he performs. Everything depends on how these guys perform at the combine. But Killings is listed as a deep threat. He's 5'11". We know that Madden usually doesn't like to give us those 6'3", 6'4", 6'5 guys that are super duper fast. So 5'11", Killings could be the pick there for Tampa Bay. And I know that Kevin, can't say no to wide receivers. He loves his wide receivers. So I could see that happening over here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, let's go open up the OMFL mailbag and get some of these questions answered. I don't think that we have a ton of them here tonight. Sorry, I'm just answering something. Let's open up this OMFL mailbag. Lots of information started coming in all of a sudden. All right. Looks like we got a handful of questions, so we can get through these. Mr. Nicehonger says, what height do you think is best for cornerback? I don't know that height matters that much. Now, one could debate that this Madden, maybe it matters a little bit. I like big, tall receiver or big, tall corner. Who doesn't? Who doesn't want a 6'3", 6'4" cornerback? I find 6'1" is usually fine. 6 foot is fine. I start getting nervous in the 5s personally, but I don't also know that I have a book of evidence that could provide one way or the other, that one way is better and one way is worse. I just think that 5 and lower makes me nervous, especially in this Madden with jump balls. Give me 6'1" and bigger, but again, I think the book of evidence is pretty small. Mr. Collins says, are you looking forward to playing in and or watching inclement weather games during the final stretch of the season? I do look forward to it. I like that it's new. I like that it affects. I had a blast in the handful that I played in the preseason. In the South, we don't play a lot of those inclement weather games. I play in a dome, so I don't see a ton of them. Half my games are going to be covered. And then the divisional games, I play those in Atlanta, which is covered, and it just leaves Carolina and Tampa Bay for one game a season plus whatever my extra games are. So I have a limited sample, but I do find those fun and good for the league and good for Matt. It's one of the things I think they've done really, really well. Nice Hunger, what do you think is the most important attribute for a middle linebacker? Change of direction. I think speed is awesome and always going to be a powerhouse of a attribute, but change of direction, the ability to kind of flow and not lose speed is just critical. And guys who have those middle linebackers that can cover hash to hash and take away the middle of the field have really good change of direction. Tim, which team missing the playoffs do you think can turn it around and make the playoffs next season? Let's go look at that, Tim. It's a good question. I think it all depends on what's going to happen with the offseason. The offseason is so pivotal for a lot of different teams. I'm going to say, and some of these 7-win teams are going to get in there, but we'll say 7 and up, right? Bears are going to be in, though barely, right? Dolphins, I think, I'm not going to consider them because I think they could be in. Panthers could be in. Jaguars could be in. Titans could be in. Texans could be in. Okay, I guess we're going 6. So we're going to go with 6 and lower than that. So Raiders, Packers, Cardinals, Bills, Chiefs, Patriots. I don't know why I keep popping my P's. We're going to work on that. Vikings, Lions, Buccaneers, Browns, Saints, Broncos, 49ers. I think there's a couple teams that float to the top immediately. Lions, Vikings, Patriots. Those are 3 teams that immediately pop towards the top. I'd also say Bills, Cardinals, Packers have proven a lot. I think Priest has really shown a lot this 5-game winning streak. Those would be the 6 teams. If I really had to narrow down and give you for sure one from each side, man, I'd be really hard pressed. That would be a really good question. And man, NFC, if I absolutely had to guarantee one, I'd want to say Big Hurt and Maniac, and I'd go Maniac in that because Big Hurt's got new job, family, like all those things that happen. It feels like it's pulled Big Hurt away here recently. He's had bigger fish to fry. If I had to look at the AFC, I love the Bills and the Patriots. I'd go Patriots. I trust their defense more. I think a good offseason, he can get things figured out. So if I absolutely had to give my Nate's Commish guarantee on both of those, I'd go Maniac and Lost Sniper. I think those are going to be really good. Thank you for the reminder about Caleb Williams. I forgot, Trey, that he is hurt. That happened while I was gone. That is a big, big blow. And the reason that he's struggling to get across the finish line, can Priest get there? We'll have to find out together. And that's what makes the OMFL awesome. Couple more here. We got Trey. Say, what potential wild card matchups are you most looking forward to? I talked about a couple of those, Trey. Let's come look at these really quick. We're going to go playoff picture. Let's just say it plays out the way that we see, because I'm not doing a bunch of math and sitting here trying to figure out a bunch of what ifs. I would say a couple of these would be really fun. NFC, I always start with the AFC. Let's start NFC. Bill versus Meek. 2 guys that can hit the big play very, very good defense, and can make a lot of plays on both sides of the ball. That would be a fun matchup. Cincyberg, Penguins might be the funnest matchup this entire playoffs. Offense, defense, both really smart play callers. Both guys that know how to build really good teams that fit their style. I think that would be just an outstanding matchup to be able to come and watch. I'd say Jets in Miami because it feels like both teams are going the opposite directions, right? I think you got the Jets sort of trending slightly down and the Dolphins trending slightly up here late. That could just make for a really good matchup between two teams who are sort of meeting at the right time. And then Trey versus Logan. I don't know how it's going to work out. Logan should have his starters that were suspended back for this game. Trey, you've been playing really good football. Little up and down here, but I can see your team trending up as we come to the end of the season here and make a run for the playoffs. That could also be just a really fun matchup between two guys that I think play football very similar and would be just a good matchup between those two guys. All right, let's look at our last question from Trey. Besides quarterback position, what do you think is most important to rebuild, retool in Madden 26? Taking quarterback position off of the books, that makes it interesting. If the game continues to play the way that we see it right now and nothing major changes in a rebuild, it depends on how your team is made up, right? That always is what skews the question. But let's say it's kind of even across the board. You need absolutely everything in this rebuild, but you don't need quarterback. That's kind of taken care of. I think the position that greatly affects the game the most would be offensive line, just anywhere. If you have a shutdown offensive lineman in the center of your offense, which is where I think football starts, is the center of the field. If you have that guy that can just shut down really good defensive tackles, or let's say you have that and you need that shutdown tackle, I think offensive line would be right there, second B, 2B, defensive tackle. I think if you have a disruptive defensive tackle that can push the pocket. Now, our sliders all pro right now. Defensive pass rush feels non-existent. I'm trying to help us find some. If my slider adjustment doesn't work this time, then I'm going to think it's backwards and I'm going to go the other way and test that. It's really the only way to do this, and we'll see how it plays out. But I would say outside of quarterback, I'm going offensive line, any position, and then technically I could say defensive line, but I would say defensive tackle specifically. Trey said, I gained a lot of weight, confidence in the A's time, foolish behavior. What does weight confidence mean? I'm sitting here trying to figure out what you might have accidentally meant, but maybe you did mean that, and that's like the way Canadians talk, and I just don't understand. But yeah, you got me on that one. We talked about that game a little bit. It's unfortunate when those things happen in the OMFL. I think there's always personalities that get involved, and it's just kind of an unfortunate thing that happens sometimes. All right, that's going to be it for the mailbag. Let's go play another commercial, and then when we come back, we're going to talk my top 5 draft picks, which we already talked. So I guess I kind of skipped ahead of myself there, but we can put a bow on the show. Okay, take it away.
Does your halfback feel like he is stuck in the mud? No matter which direction you go or what button you push, you just can't seem to shake that pesky defender. Well, don't you worry. I've got just the thing for you. It's Birdman's Jukes Jerky Sauce. Yep, you heard that right. Just a dab will have you juking like the Birdman, and those pesky defenders will fall away. Get the sauce today before your rival buys it first. And remember, when your back can't juke, we'll sauce it up for you.
Trey, we don't limit. Well, I guess we limit, but we don't take stunts off the table. So you just have to be strategic about them. Yeah, I did make some changes. Again, we lowered pass rush. I think I'm finding that this map, the sliders have like a 1 number cliff to where, like, if you went to 5, right, that's usually where we stay. It's like you make adjustments of 5. You don't quite get there. But then if you just go 1 beyond or 1 before the 5, you find where you want to be. It has been that way for quarterback accuracy. 44 plays more realistic. You get the more kind of random throws when the quarterback should be making random throws. Bad quarterbacks look bad. Good quarterbacks look good. At 44, at 45, every quarterback's putting up 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns. Run blocking feels the same, right? Tackles feel the same. So right now, the way that we have it, I'm going to call them out, and then we'll get out of here tonight. I still did an hour show. I put pass blocking at 44 instead of 45. That way, we've got that 1 point and see if that's going to get it. Because 45, me and Kevin had no sacks on either side. And I get neither one of us have great offensive lines or defensive lines, but they got to be some kind of sack. Well, I'm lying to you. I'm sorry. We each had one sack. Pass blocking at 44. Run blocking at 54. I felt like it was a little too good this past game. So just one little notch down. And we're going to keep an eye on tackling, which also was really bad in Kevin and I's game. We had some weird interactions, but that's the biggest changes is pass blocking to 44, run blocking to 54. Everything else is staying the same. We will keep an eye on tackling and see how that plays out. I'm trying to get some pass rush going again. If this doesn't work at 44, then we're going to go the other way. We're going to go 55 and see how that feels, because sometimes I believe the conspiracy theories that these things are backwards. Overall, I think things seem to be going really well while I was going. We had the one little scuffle in that Chargers-Eagles game. That was unfortunate, but I think DCs just in general are unfortunate. And my message wasn't super received well about streaming, but I'm sorry. There are some sort of intentional requirements if you're going to play here. I personally know that there are family life situations that get in the way. And for a season, that's fine. We will work with you. We will be patient. We'll be understanding, all those things for a season. Maybe physically a season. But overall, every single one of you should be hardwired. And everybody here should have internet where you can stream and play. There's just required. And I try to give a pass and say, upload your videos, whatnot. But it's just not enough. You got to stream. You got to stream live. It's just too many things that can go yucky, and it gives people ammo to say things that may or may not be true. But when you're not streaming live, there's no proof. So you just have to around here. And hopefully people understand that. Again, we can be patient, understanding all those things. But sooner or later, that has to be something that every owner here has to be able to figure out for themselves. All right, guys, I have streamed back-to-back. Seems to be what I do here lately. This cough is back. It's kind of wore me out here today. And I've been traveling all week, so I'm kind of just at wit's end. And we did an hour show, so it's not too bad, right at an hour. So I appreciate Denbrew for getting me some OMFL news, as always. I appreciate all the guys for getting us the commercials. Tim wants to do one, so I got to get with Tim this week, see if I can help him figure that out. And we're coming down to the end here. Got some playoff races. I'm hoping that I can call some games this week. Should be a ton of fun. Guys, take care of yourselves, okay? I hope that you have a really great week. Stay engaged, stay plugged in, take care of yourselves, take care of those around you. I love you. I'll see you on the next one, okay?
Smash that like and subscribe.